Good morning, friends. Let us do some problems from previous year's syllogism problems that have come up in the previous year exams. Right. All stones are pebbles. All pebbles are rocks. This is a simple problem only. Stones, pebbles, and all pebbles are rocks. Right. This is kind of simple problem, one within another. All stones are rocks. Obviously, all stones will be rocks, right? All stones are part of pebbles, and all pebbles are subset of rocks. So all stones are rocks. This is fine. All rocks are pebbles. No way, right? All rocks cannot be pebbles. So yes, there's a possibility when stones is equal to pebbles is equal to rocks. When all three are of the same size, that there are only 10 stones and all 10s are pebbles and all 10 are rocks and number of pebbles also 10, number of rocks also 10, then all three can become equal. But at any point, but that is a possibility. But here is saying all rocks are pebbles. That means whatever you do, any rock is a pebble, which is not. All pebbles are rocks. Doesn't mean all rocks are pebbles. This is an easy one only. This has come in RRB, IBPS, right? So this is an easy problem. Next, all kings are rulers. All kings are rulers. These are kings. These are rulers. Right. Some rulers are queens. Right. Some rulers are queens. So these are queens. Right. This can be like this also. Right, nothing is stopping. Right. Queens and rulers, the intersection could be like this, or a part of king's intersection also. We can draw in both ways. Let's try to see what he's asking. Some kings are queens. Need not be. He's saying some kings are queens means whatever you do, there will always be some king who is a queen. Need not be. If you draw the diagram like this, then there is no king who is the queen, right? He's saying some kings are queens means always there will always be one some king who is a queen, which is not the case because in this case, if you draw the diagram like this, there is no king who is a queen. So this we can disprove. At least some queens are rulers. Yes, this is true. Right. There will always be some queen who is a ruler. Because there's always some ruler who is a queen. There's always some queen who is a ruler. Right. Some rulers are queens means obviously there will always be some queens who are rulers. So this thing is right. Next. Some gardens are parks. Okay. Some gardens are parks. Gardens are parks. Some gardens are parks. So you can write parks like this also. Even parks can be complete subset of gardens also. In that way also, some gardens are still parks only. Right. Some gardens are parks doesn't mean some parks only are gardens. Right. Some parks are areas. Some parks are areas. These are areas. Areas can be like this. Right. It can take some part of gardens. Areas can take all part of gardens also. Nothing is stopping. Let's see what exactly are the conclusions. At least some areas are parks. Yes, because some parks are areas, so that means there will always be some areas who are actually parks. Right? Some parks are areas means either all areas can be parks or some of the areas can be parks. So this thing is right. At least some areas are parks. No garden is an area. It is saying whatever you do, a garden cannot become an area. But it is not, right? We can draw the areas in whichever way that we want. So for example, gardens, parks, areas. If we draw like this, what is wrong? Nothing is wrong. Some gardens are parks, yes, some gardens are parks, some parks are areas, some parks are areas. It is nothing is stopping us to create some intersection between gardens and areas. Right, but he is saying no garden is an area. He is saying what does this mean? You cannot create an intersection of garden and area, which is not. As per these two statements, there is nothing that is stopping us. So this conclusion is wrong. Next. No letter is a fax. What does it mean? This is a letter. This is fax. There is no intersection. Right. No letter is fax means a letter cannot be fax. Whatever you do, letter and fax, there is zero intersection. All messages are faxes. Right. So what does that mean? Messages are subset of faxes, right? These are messages. These are faxes. Right. All messages are faxes means messages are always subset of faxes. No message is a letter. No message is a letter, obviously. Because a fax cannot be letter. There cannot be any intersection between letter and fax. Letter and fax, there cannot be an intersection. Obviously, M is a subset of F. There cannot be an intersection between M and L also. So this is true. At least some faxes are messages. Yes, all messages are faxes means this part of the faxes are definitely messages. Right, at least some faxes are messages. You cannot make all faxes uh, you cannot create a site where all faxes are not messages. There will always be some part of faxes, which is this part only, because all messages are faxes, right? So this area will always be faxes also, messages also. So at least some messages are fax, or at least some faxes are messages is always true, right? So these two statements are true. Some boards are planes, okay? Some boards. These are boards. These are planes. Very good. No plane is a square. Right. So this is a square. Now, square, it can be like this. It can be like this also. Right. Square can have some intersection with boards. It cannot have any intersection with planes. Right. No plane is square. So they cannot have any intersection between square and plane, but square and board can have some intersection. All squares are boards. All squares are boards. Need not be, right? Need not be. So he's saying all squares can become boards. There is a possibility. All squares we can fit inside boards. There is a possibility. But he is saying whatever we do, always all squares are boards. Need not be. Right. This is need not be. Because the diagram in which we have drawn like this, here none of the square is a board. Right. So this thing is definitely wrong. All planes are boards. This also need not be. Only some planes can boards. All planes can become boards because some boards are planes. P can become subset of boards. All planes can become boards, but not always. Right here, saying all planes are blown means boards means always, all the time, all the planes are subsets of boards, which is not the case. In this diagram that we have drawn, this is adhering to these two statements, but it is not giving us this result, right? So this thing is also wrong. Next, this again officer exam, IDBA officer. Let's look at these questions. No bank is a school. That means this is bank, this is school, right? Some schools are colleges. Okay, very good. So colleges can be like this. Colleges can take some part of banks or full all parts of banks also. Right, nothing is stopping. Some colleges are schools. Right. Some colleges are schools. These are colleges. But some colleges can also be banks. Some colleges, banks are complete subset of colleges also. That is also possible. That is nothing is stopping us. Some colleges are definitely not schools. Right. Some schools are colleges. Right. Some schools are colleges. Here he is saying this. Now look at this statement carefully. Some schools are colleges. Let's don't even worry about banks. Some schools are colleges. Some schools are colleges. We can draw the diagram like this, or we can draw the diagram like this also. Right. Some schools are in this diagram also. Some schools are colleges. Right. So all colleges are schools, but here as per this statement, there is only one statement that is given. Some schools are still colleges as per this diagram also. But as per we can draw the diagram like this also, right? But he's saying some colleges are definitely not schools. The contradiction of this is all colleges are schools, right? We can draw a diagram. He's saying whatever you do, there will always be some colleges which are not schools. He's saying this. But there is a possibility that all colleges are schools. We are able to draw this diagram, which is not violating this statement, but is actually disproving this statement, going against this conclusion. Right? This diagram is agreeing with the statement, but it is disproving this conclusion. Conclusion number one. So some classes are definitely not schools. Is not always possible. Right. There can be a case where all colleges are schools also. Right. So this thing is wrong. All banks being colleges is a possibility. Yes. We have discussed this also. Right. Colleges can be like this also, where all banks are subset of colleges. And some of the colleges, there is some intersection with schools. Right. All banks being colleges is definitely a possibility. Right. We are able to, whenever it is a possibility case, even if you are able to draw one diagram which is as per this statement, as per this conclusion, and is not violating the statements, that is fine. So, for example, for this, what we have to draw: banks, colleges, and schools. Right. So, no bank is a school. Very good. No bank is a school. Some schools are colleges. Some schools are colleges. This diagram is as per these statements only. It is not violating any of these statements. And because it is a possibility, this is in agreement with this conclusion also. We are able to draw this possibility. That means this statement is right. Next, some carts are trolleys. These are carts, these are trolleys. Some carts. All baskets are trolleys. All baskets are trolleys. Okay, let me draw something big. Some carts. Some carts are trolleys. Okay, all baskets are trolleys. Okay, now he's saying at least some baskets are carts. Right, he's saying whatever you do, there will always be some baskets which are carts. But as per this diagram is in alignment with the statements. As per this diagram, none of the baskets is a cart. Right, not even a single basket is a cart. Right, as per this diagram is aligned with these two statements. So his statement of there will always some basket will be a cart is wrong. Right, this is wrong. Again, as per this diagram, all trolleys are baskets. We are able to disprove this statement also. He's saying all trolleys are baskets. No, he's saying the statement is all baskets are trolleys. As per this diagram, all trolleys are not baskets. All baskets are trolleys. So this statement is also wrong. So in these conclusions, whenever we are given some conclusions, what we have to do, we have to try. If it is a possibility statement, we have to try to draw the diagram which is as per the possibility statement. If it is not a possibility statement, we have to try to draw a diagram which is opposite to the conclusion. If I am able to draw a diagram which is opposite to the conclusion, then the conclusion is wrong. Right. Next one. All fruits are vegetables. Fruits, vegetables. All fruits are vegetables. All vegetables are plants. All vegetables are plants. No plant is root. Right. So what does this mean? Fruits is complete subset of vegetables. All vegetables again some complete subset of plants. And plants and roots there is no intersection. Whatever you do, plants and roots cannot. There is nothing common between plants and roots. Right. They cannot intersect. Right. All fruits are plants. Right. All fruits are definitely plants. True. No root is a vegetable. Yes. Root cannot become a plant. So root cannot become a vegetable, whatever you do. So both statements are right. So this is an easy problem one. Right. Next. No fruit is a root. Yes. Fruit cannot become a root because uh, fruit is always a plant and plant cannot become a root. So this is right. At least some roots are vegetables. No, no way, right? Because all roots, none of the root can become a plant. If it cannot become a plant, there is no way it can become a vegetable, right? At least some roots, not so. The statement is none of the roots can become vegetables or plants or fruits. So this statement is wrong. Next, some calculators are phones. Some calculators are phones. Very good. No phone is an eraser. Eraser is nowhere here. Erasers can have some intersection with calculator. Nothing is stopping. Right. No calculator is an eraser. Need not be. As per this diagram, some intersection between erasers and calculators is possible. He's saying whatever you do, there will there is never a case where a calculator can become an eraser. This statement means that there is never a case where a calculator can become an eraser. But if you draw the diagram like this, where this is calculator, this is eraser, and this is phone. This diagram is still satisfying these two statements. Some calculators are phones. No phone is an eraser. Phone and eraser, there is no intersection. Right. No calculator is an eraser. This statement is wrong because we are able to draw this diagram where some erasers are calculators or some calculators are erasers. So this thing is wrong. Some calculators are definitely not phones. Some calculators are phones. Yes. So what does that mean? Some calculators are definitely not phones. Right. So some calculators are phones. What does that mean? The remaining part of the calculators. They are definitely not phones, right? Otherwise, the statement would have been all calculators are phones. Here the statement is some calculators are phones. Obviously, the remaining part of the calculators. There are 100 calculators. Some calculators means either 20 or 70 or 90 are phones. Remaining 10 are not phones only. Right. If it was all calculators are phones, then some are definitely then then we can disprove this statement. But here some are phones only. That means the remaining are not phones. So this thing is true. Next one. Again, IBPS RRB exam. Right. I think we have done this. Let me just check. Next one. All beans are pulses. Again, these are from IBPS PO. All beans are pulses. These are beans. These are pulses. Right. All pulses are crops. Yes. Okay. No crop is seed. Right. Crop and seed. There is no intersection. There is no intersection between crop and seed. All crops are pulses. Need not be. Because as per this diagram is satisfying these statements. But in this diagram, there are always some crops which are not pulses. So this statement is wrong. All beans are crops. Yes. Whatever you do, beans will always be subset of pulses, and pulses will always be subset of crops. So all beans are definitely crops. Right? Only conclusion two follows. Next one. No fruit is a vegetable. Fruit and vegetable, zero intersection. All potatoes are vegetables. Right. Potatoes are subset of vegetables. Some fruits are apples. Very good. So this is an interesting problem. Some fruits are apples. Apples can be here. In fact, apples can be here. Apples can be here. Or apples can be here. Nothing is stopping, right? Some fruits are apples. But apples can have other things also. Nothing is stopping. Right. But here, some apples are potatoes. He's saying whatever you do, there will always be some apples which are potatoes. But we can draw a diagram. We can draw a diagram where apples are not potatoes. Right. These are apples, potatoes, and vegetables. Right. In this diagram, apples are not potatoes. So this thing is wrong. Some apples are potatoes means always there will always be some apple which is a potato, which is not true. Right. There are cases where apples need not be potatoes. Some apples are fruits. Right, some fruits are apples, only this thing. So the statement we cannot say. Some apples can be potatoes. If that was the statement, then it is fine. Some potatoes being fruits is a possibility. Is it possible? Right. It is not possible because no fruit is vegetable. Fruit cannot become vegetable. Right. No fruit is vegetable and all potatoes are vegetable. So potatoes are definitely vegetables. And vegetables and fruits, there cannot be an intersection. Obviously, potatoes and fruits cannot have any intersection. So this possibility is definitely not there. This possibility is also not there. Right. So potatoes, some potatoes, there's a possibility of potatoes becoming apples. Right. Because apples have some fruits, some non-intersection. So some potatoes becoming apples is a possibility. But some potatoes becoming fruits is not a possibility. So for example, if you can draw like this, fruits, apples, potatoes, vegetables. Vegetables. This thing is a possibility, right? No fruit is vegetable. Yes, fruit and vegetable zero intersection. All potatoes are vegetables. All potatoes are part of vegetables. Some fruits are apples. Yes, some fruits are apples. This kind of diagram we can draw. So in this diagram, some potatoes can become apples. Some potatoes become being apples is a possibility, but potatoes being fruits is not a possibility. Right. Next one. All books are journals. All books are journals. Journals. All dairies are journals. There is also journals. Probably dairies can be like this also. Dairies can be like this also. Nothing is stopping. Right. We can draw in whichever way we want. All journals are books. Need not be because there is always some area which is not books. So this is wrong. Some dairies being books is a possibility. Yes. We can draw this diagram, right? Books, books, dairies, and journals. And journals. We can always draw this diagram. In this case, also books are generals, diaries are generals. General. Some diaries being books is a possibility. We can draw this diagram. Is a possibility statements are easy. If we are able to draw the diagram, that is sufficient. We don't need to disprove anything. No fruit is a vegetable. Some all potatoes are vegetables, some fruits are apples. I think this has come again that we have just discussed this. Okay. This thing also has come again. Beans, pulses. This also we discussed. Next. Overseas, Indian Overseas Bank PO. Let's look at these questions. No cow is a bull. Cow and bull. These two are completely separate. All bulls are animals. Very good. These are animals. So this is the statement where we are getting four different items: cow, bull, animals, and mammals. Some animals are mammals. Okay, some animals are mammals. Right. So animals, no cow is bull. So cow and bull, there is no intersection. Cow and bull, there is no intersection. But animals, it can be like this. It can be like this also. Nothing is stopping. Right. Now let's see. At least some mammals are animals. Some animals are mammals. That means there will always be this portion. So what does that mean? Some mammals will always be animals. Right. We cannot remove this. Animals and mammals, we cannot disjoint. We cannot draw animals and mammals like this because this will violate this condition. Some animals are mammals. In this case, no animals are mammals. It will violate this condition. He is asking this thing is actually contradicting this condition. So this thing is not possible. Sorry. So this thing is always possible because if if this is false, what does that mean? Then this has to be true. This cannot be true. So the contradiction of this is there is no way, not even a single case, where animals and mammals are completely independent and there is no intersection. This kind of diagram we cannot draw. So that's why the statement is right. Some mammals will always be animals. Some mammals being bulls is a possibility. What is saying? Is a possibility statement. So then what is saying? Mammals and bulls, we have to draw them together. Bulls, mammals, animals, cows. Can we draw this diagram? No cow is a bull. Yes, no cow is a bull. All bulls are animals. All bulls are animals. Some animals are mammals. Yes, some animals are mammals. We are able to draw some intersection between bulls and mammals also, which is this. This diagram is not violating any of these statements. and it is actually supporting this statement, this conclusion, right? As per this conclusion, we are able to draw this diagram, which is a valid diagram, right? So the statement, the possibility statement, it is a possibility statement. Even if one instance exists like this, it is sufficient for us. The possibility means even if there is one case where some mammal can become bull, then it is enough for us. In this case, yes, we were able to draw this, right? Next one. At least some animals are bulls. Yes, because all bulls are animals. There will always be this part. Bulls are complete subset of animals. There will always be this part, which is actually bulls also, animals also. So at least some animals are always bulls. No animal is a cow. He's saying whatever you do, an animal cannot become a cow. Right. So, but this thing is wrong because we can draw this diagram. You can always draw this diagram, right? No cow is a bull, cow and bull zero intersection. All bulls are animals, bulls complete subset of animals. Some animals are mammals. Wait, sorry. Some animals are mammals. We can always draw this kind of diagram. In this diagram, some animals are cows also. Right. There's nothing stopping us to create diagram like this. Some animals can be cows. So this statement is definitely wrong. Right. Because this possibility is there. Next. Some pencils are pens. Okay. So I'll call it pencil PC and pen as PN. Okay. No pen is eraser. Okay. This is eraser. All sharpeners are erasers. All sharpeners are erasers. No eraser is a pencil. Is it stopping? No, we can create some intersection between eraser and pencil. The intersection that is stopping is between eraser and pen. We cannot have intersection, but eraser and pencil we can always have intersection, right? So we can always draw like this: pencil, pen, eraser, sharpener. We can draw like this, right? Nothing is stopping this. So no eraser is a pencil. Whatever you do, and eraser cannot become a pencil is what he's saying. No, in this case, an eraser can actually become a pencil. So the statement is wrong. All pencils can never be sharpeners. Right. This is a very good point. Please see. He's saying whatever you do, all pencils can never become sharpeners. He's saying sharpeners, pencils, whatever you do, you cannot create this. Right. Let's try to make disprove this. If we are able to create this, what does that mean? Some pencils have to become pens. Right. Some pencils have definitely these are pencils. Some pencils have to become pens. So this there will be some part which are pens. It has to be like this. Now, but no pen is an eraser, right? No pen is an eraser, right? Eraser will be completely disjoint. But all sharpeners are erasers. So there has to be something. This sharpener should be subset of erasers. But if that happens, this eraser and pencils will interact, right? All pencils can never become sharpeners. If it happens, if all pencils are sharpeners, then all sharpeners are again erasers. Right? Again erasers. So, if all pencils become sharpeners, forget about pens. If all pencils become sharpeners, all sharpeners are erasers again. All sharpeners are erasers. Right? And no pen is an eraser. So, pen will be like this. This will be pen. Pen is an eraser because there is no intersection between pen and eraser. But some pencils are pens. This is violating these conditions. At pencil and pen, there cannot be any intersection because pencil has become subset of eraser now. If it has become a subset of eraser, there cannot be any intersection with pen. But this is violating this statement because pencils and pens, there must be some intersection. So if pencils become subset of sharpeners, then pencils and pens, there will not be any intersection because pencils become subset of sharpeners. Sharpeners are subset of erasers, Erasers and pens, there cannot be any intersection. What does that mean? Pencils and pens, there cannot be any intersection, which is not possible because some pencils and some pens. Some pencils are pens, that means there has to be some intersection. So there is no way this statement, opposite of this statement can happen. All pencils becoming sharpeners. All pencils becoming sharpeners is no way that is possible. So all pencils can never be sharpeners is actually right. We tried to disprove this statement, which is not possible. If all pencils become sharpeners, then that is violating this statements, which is clearly not possible. So all pencils can never become sharpeners. Hope you understood this. Any doubts? Please message. They are picking all the important problems of previous exam papers only, so that you know how to attack this kind of problems, how to understand or to be prepared with the kind of difficulty difficulty level problems which we can expect in the exam. More realistic problems. That's why you're picking previous year problems. These are all realistic problems. Okay, guys. All the best. We'll do more problems in our next session.